Today we're going to talk about the Brooks Ghost 11 GTX. 6.63 miles today, 8 minutes, 29 seconds per mile in the Brooks Ghost 11 GTX. This was my first time running in a Ghost. It's also my first time running in a Brooks. And so not a lot of experience to go off of today, but here's my understanding of where the Ghost fits in the Brooks product line. It sits right in the middle. So there's shoes that are more stable, there's shoes that are more cushioned, there's also shoes that are faster and more responsive, but the Brooks Ghost is supposed to be the type of shoe that fits most runners for most of their runs for most of the time. And so I thought it'd be a good way to introduce myself to this brand, especially because it comes in a GTX version, and right now I'm on the search for more winter running shoe options because I know it's just going to get colder, and I'm looking for something to protect my feet and keep me warm as the temperatures drop and as the snow levels start to rise. And so hopefully this one, I thought, might be one that could fit the bill. Now, just to give you a quick overview of the shoe, there's two kinds of foam that are in this shoe. There is the DNA Loft foam that Brooks makes in this kind of heel area, outer heel area here, and the rest of the foam throughout the shoe, that is their BioMoGo foam. And it's two different types of foam to give you two different types of feel. On the top, on the upper, it is a mesh upper that is treated with Goretex, and it did a fantastic job today. While it wasn't terribly cold, there was a really stiff wind coming off the lake today. Headwinds were extremely strong and the waves were crashing like crazy. It got to the point where I had to get turned around by the Chicago Police Department because they had blocked off part of the trail. It was just getting that dangerous. So I did run in quite a bit of water today, although I hadn't originally planned on it, but I guess it kind of worked out. The shoe fits true to size, size 9 for me, and it was snug. Not tight like I've been feeling in a lot of shoes that are especially starting to feel tight in the outer part of my pinky toe, but there was a lot of snugness right around the top of the foot and on the arch, from the arch on the medial side all the way to the lateral side. Everything felt really tight here, not in an uncomfortable way, but it did feel a little bit tight. The laces here are the stretchy kind, which I'm not a huge fan of. And the lacing system, which I think is also the same that's on the Brooks 11, is a little bit unique here. It has this center kind of area where you can attach the laces to the tongue, but there's also an extra slot right here up at the top where the lace gets laced through, and so that keeps this tongue on the top of your foot. It is pretty padded here, as it is padded all the way through the heel cup, so that might be adding to kind of the snugness that I'm feeling. The heel cup in the back also has a really rigid and a really heavy piece of plastic back here. I don't know if it's TPU or what. And then there's also a lot of just fabric and material back here that adds to this design. And so all in all, it makes for a pretty heavy shoe. Now I know winter shoes generally are going to be a little bit heavier because they've got to have a little bit something extra on the outsole and a little bit something extra on the upper. But this shoe is really heavy. Picking it up, it feels heavy, and it's because of all this rubber that's on the bottom. I haven't seen a shoe with this much rubber in a long time, and a shoe that was not an actual winter boot. On foot, that heaviness continues, and it's really confusing to me because you look at all the advertising that Brooks puts out about the Ghost 11, talking about how soft and effortless the miles feel when you're running in this shoe, and I just didn't get that at all. This was an incredibly awkward shoe for me to run in, at least for the first mile. For the first half mile or so, it felt like I was just running in a 100% rubber outsole shoe, like I was running in a pair of Chuck Taylors for some reason. And the entire time, I felt like this shoe was trying to control my foot and make it do stuff it didn't want to do. And so I know that I don't have a textbook or picture perfect stride. My foot strike is a little bit awkward, but this shoe was trying to fix that, and I didn't really appreciate it, and neither did my feet. It was really uncomfortable and really awkward. I felt like my strides were really loud. I always kind of take that as a sign that something's not right. Maybe you're fatigued, or maybe there's something going on with the shoe. I felt like every stride was just slapping the ground. Something wasn't right to it. After about the first mile, after I'd warmed up a little bit and started getting a little bit more on the toes, this shoe started to kind of behave a little bit better. It had a little bit better road manners, and maybe it's because I think I like this BioMoGo foam more than this DNA Loft foam that's here on the back. I think this foam back here is supposed to be softer, so that way as your foot is striking the ground, it has more cushion to absorb impact, while when you're pushing off, you have the more responsive material up underneath the toes. This material down here reminded me quite a bit of the Under Armour Hover material that they've developed, and so it wasn't quite as bouncy as React, but it wasn't quite as mushy and soft as Ultra Boost. It was in a nice spot in the middle that I find somewhat pleasant, and so when I was running on my toes, I liked the shoe. And I felt like it was a really great winter shoe. But when I was in kind of 8:30, 8:45 per mile pace, something that was a little bit more in the relaxed range, and I was using more of the shoe as I was going through my foot strike, that rigidity in this shoe, I don't know what it is about this shoe, but something about it, it's just trying to make my foot do something that it doesn't want, and I just didn't really like it. But on the plus side, it did keep all that ample water out of the shoe, and I took my shoes off after the run and they were bone dry, which was amazing. I was expecting to have at least some damp feet, and they stayed warm the entire time too. That water from the lake is ice cold right now, and so my foot should have at least felt cold, but it didn't, and so it did a perfect job of protecting me from the elements. So I guess the trade-off is it keeps you warm like a winter boot, but it runs a little bit like a winter boot. Now, I don't know if all Ghost 11s are like this, or if it's just the GTX version. Maybe it has extra rubber on the outsole or what. If you've got experience with the Ghost 11 and the GTX version, let me know in the comments if you think that there's a big difference between the two, because I'd love to know if the Ghost is like that as well. Because my running buddy, he's been running in Ghost for quite a while now. He ran the Indianapolis Monumental Marathon in the Ghost 10s, I believe. And he really likes the shoe. He swears by it. He's even been stocking up on older inventory now that the 11's out, and is probably going to be upgrading to the 11 once that kind of starts to go on sale as well. And so he's been talking it up like crazy, and he's been really excited for me to run in this shoe. But I'm kind of going to have to tell him I don't really like it. But as you can see, I'm not at home. I'm not in my usual place. I've traveled to Pittsburgh for a wedding this weekend, and then from Pittsburgh I'm going to be flying directly to Iowa for my in-laws for Christmas. This is the only running shoe that I've brought with me for this entire time. So for 7 days, this is the only shoe that I'm going to have to run in, and so hopefully I can make it through those 7 days. And what I'm really anticipating is that over those 7 days. This shoe is going to mellow out. Hopefully some of this rubber softens up a little bit and doesn't get in my way quite so much. And I think that this is one of those shoes that I will run in a lot, even though my kind of first gut impressions of it aren't so hot. And that's because the winter performance aspects of it are really good. I can run with it on the road in like the middle and the dead of winter because of the way it's going to protect my feet. So hopefully it'll do really well in that area. But also I think that as I run with this, by the time I get to the 100-mile review of this shoe, I think my opinion's going to evolve on it quite a bit. I mean, I like it enough that I brought it with me. I could have brought a different shoe with me to Pittsburgh and to Iowa. So I like it enough for that. But right now, I'm not feeling great, but we'll see. And I think that, ultimately my opinion will change on it overall. Hopefully it does. Before I go for today, I want to talk to you about the charity runner for the day. Today's charity runner is Maladin Biruwar. He's going to be running for the team for the National Organization for Rare Diseases, which is an organization that provides education, advocacy, support, and even financial assistance for people afflicted with rare diseases that might not get the attention that some of the more common diseases that are out there might get. I think that's a wonderful cause to run for. I've donated $10, and I'll post a link in the description to his fundraising information in case you'd like to learn more. That's all I have for today, everybody. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.
Yo, what's going on?